Alright everyone, we are live! I am Amberlee Swift-Arrow, your hostess with the mostest, and we are playing Kingdom Hearts. We are playing Kingdom Hearts 1 today. The strike is still on hold, so I can still play Disney games. Today we are talking about Pascal's Wager, and we are talking about a modern permutation also of Pascal's Wager, known as Roko's Basilisk. I decided I would combine the two topics and primarily talk about Pascal's Wager today, and then next week I will talk about a very similar idea that came up on the Less Wrong forums in the very early part of this millennium, called Roko's Basilisk. A person named Roko made a post on Less Wrong. Eliezer Yudkowsky, the head moderator and founder of Less Wrong, actually banned the post because he was afraid that it was an info hazard. But that blew up in his face and sort of got the Streisand effect. And now a lot of people who are constantly online, who hang out in online spaces, now know about Roko's Basilisk. And I will explain the similarities between Roko's Basilisk and Pascal's Wager, and how Roko's Basilisk is sort of the Pascal's Wager for the 21st century. For atheists. And for transhumanists. Don't worry, I will explain transhumanism next stream. But just for now, know that it is about overcoming the limitations of humanity and unlocking humanity's true potential assisted by our technology. I think that's a good enough explanation for now. So, Mithy Withy, my favorite moderator, also my only moderator. How are you doing today? Can you hear me? I only have one screen today, so let's see what's going on in chat. You are alive and well in Potato. How do you think, is that a good enough primer on transhumanism? I promise I'll explain it in more detail tomorrow. No, not tomorrow, next week, when I get to Roko's Basilisk. But I think that's a decent primer for now. Ah! Ouch. Come on. Okay, I think we killed all of the monster thingies. So Yes, I agree with that. So right now, let's talk about let's talk a little bit about Pascal's wager. Pascal's wager is kind of unique as an idea. It was sort of the first of its kind where a philosopher of religion and an apologist tried to talk about not good reasons for believing something, but why you ought to believe in God. And I believe it was the first argument of its kind for arguing why one ought to believe something. Not examining the truth value of a proposition. Not examining the probability of a thing happening, but totally focused upon the why one ought to believe in God. Pascal was working with Pascal was writing in 1660 in Paris, so he was primarily talking to the educated people of France, primarily being white men who had white men who were literate, white men who had an academy or possibly even a university level education in the 1660s, which is a very different audience than my audience. My audience being primarily Americans. I know there are some women who watch my channel. I know there's some men who watch my channel. And
see ya.
So it is very different than a modern day audience, and I know that my audience is mostly Americans. And I will occasionally get viewers from the Middle East, Israel, Pakistan. I've been contacted by someone in Canada who has watched. So it is a very different audience, but basically Pascal's wager says that you ought to believe in God, because if you do believe, then you will get eternal reward in the afterlife. If you do not believe, if God is real, you will get eternal reward in the afterlife. If God is not real, then Pascal says that you lose nothing. But I think that Pascal sort of overstated things, because Pascal also talks about the true. And if you believed in God and God did not exist, you would obviously lose at least the true. You would not be believing a true thing, you would be believing a false thing. And Pascal just kind of overlooks that in his argument. Pascal also says, if you do not believe in God, then if God exists, you gain eternal damnation in heaven. Eternal damnation in hell, which is an infinitely bad thing. Whereas in heaven, he argues that going to heaven is an infinite good benefit. But God, he says, if you do not believe in God, and then God does not exist, then you gain getting to live your life the way you wanted to, and not living by the rules of a religion. So you will see soon that having infinities on two sides of the equation is a bit of a problem for Pascal's wager. He was one of the first people to deal with infinity. He didn't know the things we do now because of mathematicians about infinity. So, he does not have some of the benefits that I have in 2023 talking about infinity. But, he argues that heaven is an infinite good. And that there is infinite gain involved. And seeing as how this wager costs you very little, costs you almost nothing to make, the fact that there is infinite gain on one side and infinite loss on the other side means that you should make the wager and believe in God. Just because. If you can play a game for 0 money and you have a chance of winning all of the money in the world, no matter what the odds are, you should take that bet and continue to take that bet, according to Pascal. But, of course, like I said, what he does not say is that you lose the true. You do not believe something you do not believe the truth if you choose if you choose to believe in God and there is no God, then you at the very least lose the true. You no longer have a true belief, you have a false belief. Pascal does not get into that. So I consider it a bit of a strange omission on his part. Sora and Donald fought over the gummy ship's controls and crashed it into the deep jungle. While separated from Donald and Goofy, Sora was attacked by Sabor, but then rescued by Tarzan. Tarzan can't communicate well, but it appears Sora's friends are somewhere in the deep jungle. Could he be referring to Kairi and Riku? Go with Tarzan. See if you can find them. So I guess I should go back to the freaking hippos area and see. And yes, I totally agree with you on that point. It is like old Voltaire said, wagering on something as consequential as whether or not the Christian God Yahweh exists is a bit unseemly because there is so much riding on it. There is so much gravity to it. All right, first time. So yeah, Voltaire said that it was unseemly and obscene to in order to wager about the existence of God. He did not think that it was a question that should have been put into the calculus of thinking about it as a gambling wager. It's Trinity time! So honestly, there are quite a few problems with Pascal's wager, and I will get into the first. First off, I think that the fact that you have infinity on the equation what if heaven is not an infinite good? Or what if it is, and we as humans, in our limitations, cannot fully experience all of the good that heaven has to offer? What if it is just somewhat good, and you are getting an infinite amount of it? Well, economics, modern economics has something to tell us about that. Economists talk about things in terms of marginal utility. In that, the more of something you have, the less value you assign to more of that particular thing. Imagine, for a second, viewer, that I put an entire watermelon in front of you. I cut up the watermelon into like snack-sized slices. And I tell you, okay, I am going to give you one piece of that watermelon. The more pieces of that watermelon that you have eaten, the less utility you are going to get out of an additional slice of that watermelon. That is just how economics works. And let's say I open a watermelon stand and I am selling you watermelon, and each piece costs $1. After a certain amount of time, you are going to get sick of watermelon to the point that $1 for a slice of watermelon is no longer a good deal to you. That is what marginal utility is about. You have diminishing returns with each additional slice of watermelon you eat. And eventually you are just going to get full or going to get sick of watermelon, and another slice of watermelon is no longer going to be worth any amount to you. Not even a penny. If you are so full of watermelon that you will vomit if you get another single bite of that watermelon, are you going to pay me a penny for another slice of watermelon? Assuming it's just you and there's no one to give the watermelon to? Probably not. So, an infinity in heaven, even if heaven is the most blissful experience you can possibly imagine, you will reach that marginal utility threshold on the good of heaven eventually. And it will go to becoming meh for you and blah for you eventually. And the same goes for hell, for that matter. If you imagine the worst possible agony that you could possibly experience, after about 1 million years of that, then it is going to become kind of blah. You will eventually get used to it. And this can be understood in more earthly terms. Like, let's say you put your hand in fire. You get burned by the fire hurts. But then, once all of your nerves are gone, the fire will no longer hurt you, though you will still get burnt. You have nerve endings only so deep into your skin, and then eventually it just doesn't hurt anymore. So I think that the same thing would be true for an eternity of the worst agony you could possibly imagine, that eventually you would become accustomed to the agony, and it would just be mild inconvenience from there on out. So I don't think that it's fair to assign infinity to either side of that equation. Unless every single minute of hell and every single minute of heaven feels exactly like the first, which economics tells us that it cannot. Yes, you were very right about third-degree burns. Yes, Mimothy, that is right. And also, I would argue that as a human, a lot of my pleasures have to do with having a human body and having human physiology. I like to eat, and eating is pleasurable because I have a mouth, a tongue, a nose, a stomach, and I can experience sensations like taste and sensations like fullness. And so, without that, the act of eating would be much less pleasurable. And a lot of Christian theologians say that you do not have a material body in heaven. I also very much like petting soft, fluffy things. Dogs and cats and silky chickens and things of that nature. In heaven, if I have no body, I will not be able to experience that particular sensation. And furthermore, if it is true, like some theologians say, that non-human animals do not have souls, there will be no fluffy animals in heaven. So I will totally miss out on petting kitty cats and petting silky chickens and petting puppies and all of that sort of thing. Just because I don't have a physical body, and as a human, I have trouble even imagining pleasures that don't involve having a physical body and don't involve having a brain. The brain chemistry, when you learn something new, is also a pleasurable experience to me. I do not see how being made of just spirit stuff I could enjoy learning. It would be a very different thing, and I don't think that we humans can even really comprehend what a heavenly pleasure would be like. So I am not comfortable assigning infinite utility to making it into heaven, for example. It would just be so different than what we humans are used to that I don't think that I can really assign a utility to some sort of incorporeal spiritual existence. In any sense, be it in heaven or in hell. So I think that the infinites on the table are a little bit strange. And they also, because of what we know about infinities, they totally screw up the probability calculation. And also, Pascal does not assign any probability to God's existence. He sort of assumes that the probability is 50-50. He totally does not take the probability that a God exists into any sort of account. It may be 50-50, it may be infinitesimally small. I would argue that for most Christians' version of the Christian God, that the probability of existence is 0 because of the problems that you get when you run into the problem of omniscience and omnipotence, and the fact that an omniscient and omnipotent being would not be omnipotent because it would be completely unable to act. It would be completely unable to change the future that it had already seen. But I will get into that. I think that that deserves a stream of its own, talking about that. So, stay tuned for a future stream about the problems of omnipotence and omniscience, and I will do a full discussion on the problem with Omni characteristics. So stay tuned for that. Again, I don't have a second screen, so let me see what's going on in chat. Yes, Pascal does assume that the probability is non-zero and is also positive, which it might not be. For all probabilities, for the set of all probabilities that are non-zero and positive, is sort of the parameters that Pascal has set for the existence of God. He does not consider any sort of negative probabilities. He does not consider the probability being zero. Which, like I said, for the classical, most people's conception of Yahweh, the Christian, Jewish, and Muslim God, I would say that the probability of that particular entity existing as described is actually zero, because it is not internally consistent. It contradicts itself. So that creates a problem for the apologist. But like I said, I am going to be a little bit more charitable to Pascal, because he is... I'm not going to clown on Pascal, because he is really treading on ground that nobody had ever tread before. Creating an argument for why you ought to believe in something. Pascal was definitely more intelligent, in my opinion, than I am, so I am not going to clown Pascal for getting some things wrong that I happen to know are wrong because of 400 years, almost 400 years of discourse after he wrote Pensée, which is where he describes Pascal's wager. I'm not going to hold him accountable for things that he had absolutely no way of knowing. He was one of the first people to talk about why you ought to believe in something, and was one of the first people to talk about infinities. Another thing about Pascal's wager is I think that it fails because it does not really apply to a specific god. I don't think that there are enough gods and enough ways of worship of that god on his decision table. And there are a lot of religions that are incompatible with one another. If you are, say, Muslim, you are not allowed to believe in any gods other than Allah. And so thus, let's say that the Greek and Roman gods are the real ones. You would be mistaken in your belief in Allah. And let's say you get to the afterlife and the Greek and Roman gods are there. They would not be impressed in your devotion to and worship of Allah. If the and let's say that Christianity is correct, and you happen to be a Muslim. The Christian God is the same as the Muslim God, but you chose to worship in the wrong way. Or let's say that the Mormons were correct, and that everyone had been worshiping the proper God, that Christians had been worshiping the proper God, but nobody had gotten it right until Joseph Smith transcribed the Book of Mormon, and that knowledge was lost. And people in the 1660s in Pascal's day were just screwed because the proper way to worship God had yet to be discovered, because it was on golden plates on some farm in rural Missouri for all of that time. And just waiting for Joseph Smith to come along in the 1800s and translate them. So what happens to all of the people who existed prior to that point? We can take it a step even further and say, what if Christianity was right? God waited a very, very long time to reveal that Christianity was right. In Jesus, and for most of human history, we did not have the Bible. We did not have God's instruction book. We did not have the correct way. And that causes the same sort of problem as if, let's say, Joseph Smith was right, or Muhammad was right, and all of the early Christians got it wrong. Everyone before Christianity would have gotten it wrong, assuming that Christianity is the true and correct religion. So, with all of the different gods that people have worshipped in history, and all of the conceivable gods that people could worship in the future, along with all of the different ways that you can worship, there are so many sects of Christianity. You have Christians, you have Mormons. I mean, you have Catholics, you have Mormons, you have Lutherans, you have Anabaptists, you have Foursquare, you have Jehovah's Witnesses, you have all sorts of many sects of Christianity that every sect of Christianity is going to need its own column, and every religion is also going to need its own column, when it comes to which god you should be worshiping. So Pascal's wager really fails because it does not instruct you in which god to worship, nor does it instruct you in how. What if one of the early sects of Christianity was correct? One of the sects that lost like, let's say the Arians were correct, or let's say that the Gnostics were correct. I died. Their practices and their way of worship are lost to history. And we do not know all of the rituals of the Arians, of the Gnostics, of all of those other early sects of Christianity. I will also do a stream later about early Christianity, but we do not know their rites and rituals. We do not know their beliefs. Okay, so there's a pipe. We do not know how they worshipped. So we could potentially be doing it wrong because of the lost knowledge from those early sects of Christianity that were defeated and destroyed in the early schisms of the Christian religion. So what if that's the case? And what if what if we have the right God, but the true way of worship is lost to history and completely unrecoverable? That is potentially true. There is a non-zero probability of that, really. So, Pascal does not take that into account at all. Yes, definitely. You do raise some very good points, Mithiwithy. I will finish after I'm done pummeling all of these monkey monsters. Come on. Get over here. I want to kill you. But yeah, it is part of most Christianity, and it is part of Catholic dogma that faith alone, and not works, is what gets you into heaven. Which unfortunately does not benefit the world of the living. You do not make the world a better place by merely believing in God. Pascal says that you do, but I'm a bit skeptical of his reasoning. That is another of Pascal's wagers. What we call Pascal's wager is one of 4 different wagers in Pensée, the book. So, he tries to argue at the end that, believing in God will make you a better person. But I think that that argument is pretty weak, and I think that everyone watching this knows virtuous atheists, virtuous pagans, virtuous Sikhs, virtuous members of any religion that you are likely to encounter. So I don't necessarily buy Pascal's argument that simply a belief in a higher power will make you a better person. It might, and if it does, then I think that you should go on continuing to believe in God. I'm a pragmatist about that. If someone's religion makes them a better person, I think that they should probably continue believing that religion, even though they might lose, as Pascal says, they might lose the true by being wrong. I personally, with my own personal morals, because of what I covered in the ethics of belief in my first stream, I think that believing things that are not true is bad for everyone because it makes the world a more credulous place, more likely to be taken in by lies. And Pascal does not address anything like the ethics of belief at all. In Pascal's wager. If it is wrong always, for everyone, at any time, to believe a thing on insufficient evidence, then that certainly throws a monkey wrench in Pascal's wager, in that in taking the wager, you're actually doing something that is morally wrong. So I think a weakness of Pascal's wager is that Pascal does not take the expected truth value of the claim that God exists into account. He does not take into account the ethics of potentially believing a falsehood. Personally, I strive to try to believe as many true things and as few false things as possible. That is one reason that I do not believe in a God, because I think that the probability of God being false, I think that the probability of the proposition that gods exist being false is more probable than in them being true. And I also think that if you don't have enough information, that you should probably suspend judgment. So that is why I would consider myself to be an agnostic atheist. I don't know whether or not gods exist, but I choose to live my life as if they do not. And so far, that has worked for me quite well. Again, I don't have an extra monitor, so let us look at what's going on in chat. Nothing additional in chat. Mithy Withy, how was your day at work? And are you enjoying the stream so far? Hey, where's Jane? What's wrong, Tarzan? Something coming. Jane, danger. Jane near treehouse. Sounds like trouble. Let's go. I gotta go back to the hippo part. Let's check up on chat. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, you said that. Yes, it is. I've already done my colonialism rant, so I will refer people to that video if they want to know how I feel about colonialism. I discussed colonialism in my stream about the Maui fires and experiences that I had living in Hawaii. Okay. Back to the hippo part. All right. Which, yeah, Mythi, I call it Indigenous Peoples Day, too. Because I don't think that Columbus is necessarily worth celebrating. You're even wrong celebrating Columbus Day if you want to celebrate the first Europeans coming to the Americas. Because almost 500 years before, over 500 years before, the Vikings landed on the North American continent. On the actual continent, not on an island like Columbus had. And they actually settled and lived for a while in a colony that they called Vinland. But I don't think that there's necessarily some fantastically great prize for being the first to colonize a place, because colonialism is just fraught with history and with problems. So I don't celebrate Columbus. I don't celebrate the Vikings coming to North America. Although I do think that the Vikings coming to North America is an interesting story that more people should know about. But the problem was that there were indigenous people who already existed on this land when the Vikings came, when Columbus came. And I do not think that they were properly treated. Columbus called them the Indians. The Vikings called them the Skraelings. We know them today as Native Americans. And they had been living on this continent for a very long time. By the time even the Vikings came. Let alone Columbus. Uh-oh, Donald Duck knocked out. So anyway, back to Pascal's wager. It has problems because it does not give you any specifics as to which god of the many thousands that people have worshipped is the correct one. And I honestly think that that is perhaps Pascal's wager's main failing, is that it is not specifically an argument for Christianity. How did Pascal come to the conclusion that Christianity was the right religion and everyone was referring, and that everyone knew he was referring to Christianity? Well, that has to do with the fact that he was writing in the 1660s in Paris, France. And everyone he knew and talked to on a daily basis was a Christian. But Pascal himself should have known better. Pascal knew that Muslims existed. Pascal knew about the Greek and Roman gods, because at least Greek and Roman mythology was taught in European schools at the time. Pascal knew of the religions of India. Pascal would have been familiar with probably Hinduism and Buddhism. And I think that it is a serious oversight that he did not even consider the potential truth of Islam or Hinduism or Sikhism or any of the other religions that he was aware of. I think that he suffered from the same sort of problem that that William James suffered from, where just because of his cultural situation and because of his own hubris, he did not even consider the possibility, what if the Muslims are right? What if the Hindus are right? What if the Greeks and Romans were right?
Come on.
He does not consider that at all. And I think it is a matter of sort of colonial power thinking of cultural chauvinism, of cultural superiority, that he does not consider the fact, what if these other religions are right. In fact, one of Pascal's contemporaries, I forget his name, said about Pascal's wager that the imams could argue the same. That Pascal's wager could just as easily be talking about Islam. And this happens again in other apologetic arguments. Like, for example, the cosmological argument for God. The current formulation that Christian apologists use of the cosmological argument, and I will get into the cosmological argument in a future stream, is about, is actually Kalam's cosmological argument. And Kalam was a Muslim thinker who modified the cosmological argument into how it is usually presented today. So I think that Kalam's argument, I think that one of the reasons that Pascal's argument fails so badly is because it is not specific to the Christian God. In future streams, I will be covering some arguments that are specifically for the Christian God. Like, for example, Lewis's trilemma is a decent argument. That is specifically for the Christian God.
See ya.
But I've decided to start with what I think are the weaker arguments when I'm doing debunkings, and I will get into the stronger arguments as time goes on. I think that it is important to start with the basics and then build. That's why I started with the ethics of belief and the will to believe. And why in the future I will be moving on to finally found it. I will gradually, over time, start moving into better apologetics. I figure I would start with the F-tier apologetics and work my way up gradually to what I think are S-tier arguments.
See ya.
S-tier being the strongest. I think that Lewis's trilemma is honestly one of the better arguments that Christians have for their belief system. So that will be covered in a future stream. Let's see what's going on in chat. Yeah, I eventually figured that one out.
Deep freeze. Deep freeze. Ha. Fire.
Is there anything at the house? No.
Come on.
Let's save. I screwed up. I shouldn't have come back this way.
Come on.
I'm going to do a quick idle meeting. I will be right back. Okay, I am back. Aloha, everybody. There is something that was written years ago, but far more recent than Pascal. That is called the Agnostic Atheist's Wager. And I believe that that is personally a better way of doing things. In the Agnostic Atheist's Wager, you put aside the question of if a God exists or not, and you just live your life in such a way that makes the world a better place. If you do that, and there happens to be a God, and there is some kind of reward to be had, a good, just God would reward you for making the world a better place. If there is no God, then you have still lived in such a way that makes the world a better place. So the world is a better place. So that is a win. So I think that is really the solution to Pascal's wager. I don't think that we should believe in a God who thinks that believing in it is the most important thing. Because it does absolutely nothing to improve the here and now. And also remember that Pascal's wager is about why you ought to believe. So, wouldn't an omniscient, omnipotent God know that you are feigning belief just to be rewarded. And
See ya. Deep freeze.
I do not think that an omniscient God would be necessarily impressed by someone feigning belief just to receive reward. Remember, the wager is about why you ought to believe, and does not tell you at all how to cultivate true belief. And this gets into the idea of can you will yourself into a belief in God? Pascal says that you should. Pascal says that you should strive to be a religious person. But what if you are, as Christopher Hitchens says that he was, the sort of person who was made in such a way that it was impossible for him to believe? What then? What if you strive to become a religious person and then you fail?
Not Clayton.
All right. Wow. You shot Tarzan, you asshole. Okay, let's beat up this chameleon thing. But yeah, I will get onto that after I beat this chameleon thing. What if you are the sort of person... Frick. Who just cannot believe. I could not force myself to believe in God. I have tried. Oh, trust me, I have tried. I sometimes think that as a religious person, my life would be easier because I could take consolation in my faith. It is perhaps a false hope, but I do think that it would probably have been easier on me. My mother dying, if I had thought that my mother was going to go to a wonderful place like heaven after she died. I think that would have softened the blow at least a bit. And that is one of the arguments against atheism that sometimes apologists make, is that there's no consolation. In an atheist belief system. I think that there is, but you have to work to find it.
No!
Death sucks. Losing loved ones really sucks.
Clayton?
Not Clayton.
But I don't think that that fact, and the fact that having religious belief could soften that blow, makes religion any more, or indeed any less likely to be true. Does not make religion, does not make Christianity to be any more or any less likely to be true, is how much consolation you get from your faith. Let's see if we can beat this boss. Okay, we've triggered the boss event. No! Bastard shot Tarzan. Ouch. Okay, lock on to the chameleon. Okay, beat the shit out of the chameleon. Okay, beat the crap out of the chameleon. Now we gotta beat the crap out of the... Beat the crap out of the shotgun guy. Okay. Clayton is about halfway done. Yeah, I think just beating the crap out of him and not letting him recover is probably the answer here. Yay! We did it! Attained the power of healing. Learn magical spell Cure. Oh, that'll help. That'll definitely help. I have a heal spell. Cool. Whoa. Bye-bye, gorillas.
Tarzan home.
Let's see what's going on in chat. Yes, Tarzan's home is very gorgeous. And believing a thing because it gives you consolation is another case of believing something for a reason other than it being true. Yes, that is correct. But I thought it would fit in pretty well with Pascal's wager. Because Pascal's wager is all talking about why you ought to believe. In God. And has nothing to do with the potential truth or potential falsehood of gods actually existing. Okay, let's see what's in this chest. Orichalcum. Nice. Yeah, let's climb up this vine and see what's up here. What's in here?
This is your home? But that means... Huh?
Ooh. The waterfalls. They're echoing all the way here.
Friends there. See friends.
Oh, now I got it. Ah means heart. Friends in our hearts.
Heart.
Oh, so that's what it meant.
Friends. Same heart. Clayton. Lose heart. No heart. No see friends. No heart. No friends.
Sorry about what I said.
I'm sorry too. Yeah, all for one, huh?
Ooh, pretty. And another place for the Keyblade.
But it's sure not the king's.
I think someone has a new admirer.
Yay! Uh-oh.
What drew the Heartless to that world?
The hunter lured them there.
Disney villain montage.
It was his lust for power that was the bait. But it seems the bait was too tasty for his own good.
Yeah, he got chopped instead.
A weak-hearted fool like him stood no chance against the Heartless. But the boy is a problem. He found one of the keyholes.
Fear not, it will take him ages to find the rest. Besides, he remains blissfully unaware of our other plans.
Yes, the princesses.
They are falling into our hands, one by one. Speaking of which...
Well, now we know where Cinderella is. Ooh! A better Keyblade. And now I have the Red Trinity. Sweet. The gummy block that came out of that glowing hole. It's not like the others. Wonder what it's used for. I don't know. Uh-oh, I missed that line. Oh well. He might. Back to Traverse Town then. I want to be pilot. Hey, stop it! Oh, come on, I'm the Keyblade Master. I don't care who you are. No! Here we go again. Okay, gummy ship missions. Looks like I can't go to Traverse Town. Shoot. I guess I have to go to Wonderland first. So let's get this rail shooter bonus level over with. Okay, we're at Wonderland. New high score. Now let's go to Traverse Town. Uh-oh. I hope that's Traverse Town. I'm almost dead. Yeah, that is Traverse Town. Yay! Let's go to the accessory shop. Save it. Yes. Let's, let's try the Jungle King. Okay, having a problem with my controller. I'll be just a second. Crap, that's the world exit. Oh well. Let's go to First District, see what's going on. Okay.
Deep freeze. Deep freeze. See ya. Deep freeze.
Yay! So I figured out that puzzle. Let's see what's going on in chat. Buy. Give a high potion to Sora. High potion to Donald. High potion to Goofy. Closed off. Second district. Okay, Gizmo Shop ladder. Yay! Let's go to the gizmo shop. Oh. That wasn't fair. Got me in the back. Let's get those. Let's go up here. Yay, more money. So I'm looking for a ladder.
Come on! Come on!
Yay! Fire!
Deep freeze! Fire!
Yay, lots of money.
Come on!
Looking for a ladder. There's the ladder. Yay. Oh, shoot. Oh, crap. I gotta get back up there. Okay, gizmo shop. Go to the other side of the gizmo shop. Ladder.
Come on!
Be careful not to fall off this time.
Come on!
Okay, there's a red trinity behind here. There's a red trinity behind there. How do I get to it? Won't let me get to the red trinity, so... Gotta be careful, there's a chest up here, so... Okay, if I'm careful, I can get that chest. Yay! Shit! Looks like I've got to go back to the second district and go back to the... back to the, ladder. Frick. Donald is back. Yay. See if there's any new skills anybody can learn after I finish this fight. Yeah, that cure spell is really gonna come in handy. Uh-oh. We'll see what's going on in chat. Yeah, I'll just finish this house and then I'll find a save point and we'll be done for the day. Doesn't look like there's anything in here. So let's find a save point. Second district. I don't think there's a save point in the hotel. Crap. I'm gonna go back to where I know there's a save point. All right, we have found a save point. So this ends the stream for today. Thank you all for showing up. You've been a wonderful audience. I've been Amberlee Swift Arrow. You've been watching Kingdom Hearts 1. I'm bidding you a fond aloha. So long, everybody, and thanks for all the fish.